Howdy y'all, my name is Aramis Disqui, and welcome to Red Eye Mysteries. Today, we're going to be talking about something to do with my home state of Kansas. Today, we're going to be talking about that is right, the Bloody Benders. Now, what I'm planning on doing with this is doing hold on one second. Doing about an 8 video long series about, killers here in Kansas. Or, you get it. You get it. So without further ado, let's get it, shall we? In 1871, an immigrant family of 4 from Germany bought a 160-acre piece of land in Labette County, Kansas, where they would soon open a store and inn. The family consisted of 4 people. You had John Sr., who was a 6-foot tall man with a bushy beard. Many considered him a giant, and most feared him. Then you had Ma. She was more of a heavier set woman who was not too friendly, and she also believed that she could speak with the dead via ritualistic acts. Most even referred to her as She-Devil. Then you had John Jr. Now, John Jr. was tall, like his father, but however, he was more of a slender, skinnier person with a, well-kept mustache, so he's pretty fancy looking, all dapper and such. And, was known for laughing at inappropriate times. And of course you had Kate. But Kate was about the only one that really seemed to be sort of this nice, caring, considerate person. She attended Sunday school and, was well accepted by the community. Many seeing her as the friendliest one of the entire family. So upon first glance, you'd see this family and you'd probably think, okay, well, they're just like any other pioneer family at this time. However, there were a few things that were weird. For instance, they seemed cultish and spiritual in some sort of way. Many travelers would come in to their shop and their inn to rest or gather supplies. There was no real suspicion raised. A lot of people at that time, you're talking about 1870s, a lot of pioneers or travelers would often go missing anyway. So it didn't really raise any real suspicion to anybody if somebody went missing. But, when people with larger amounts of money started to go missing, that's when people were really sort of coming to, there's a pattern here and such. But most notably was a doctor by the name of William H. York. And, he kind of like set it off. But before we really dive into that, let's kind of like dive into like their methods. So like their methods would always be like they would give you either a bed to stay in, or they'd give you like a hot meal, or like they would just overall show some sort of hospitality. But while you were in the midst of eating or sleeping or whatever it was that you were doing, they would hit you over the head with a hammer, and then they would just slice into their neck after hitting them, and across the back of the skull with a hammer. And that was to ensure, I'm assuming, that they did pass away. Now, each of their victims were always buried in a different area. It was always like a new spot. Never like a mass grave situation. There was a local creek that they were by. They'd also buried them multiple places throughout the property. Even though they went after, they kind of went for more people that were more financially inclined, it was more seeming like enjoyment. Like they just enjoyed the kill. I mean, yeah, they went after those people with more money, but it wasn't like much to really be considered a pattern. So their method stayed consistent: hammer to the back of the skull, and then slice across the neck. Make sure that the person had passed. More than over, you know, over. Sorry, more than 20 bodies was actually found on the property. So, you know, they found a bunch. The first to be found was William H. York, or Dr. York, however you want to refer to him, was the first to be actually found. Now, because of the fact that Dr. York was the first to be found, there was a search party that went there to basically go find, to see if there was like multiple bodies found or whatnot. Once the door was pried open, there was a lot of like dried blood and just overall a nasty stench that was left because of it. And they found over 20 bodies all over the property. At this time, the family, after the first after the first time someone was talking about the smell, they had fled. So they're gone at this point when the search party is actually looking around and digging up these, as many places as they can to see how many bodies were actually there. They found more than 20. And now for the ultimate twist, which, upon even researching this, I wasn't even expecting. They were not a real family. They posed as one, but they themselves were not a real family. The only two in the actual, like family dynamic that was really related was Ma and Kate. So it was Ma and Kate were the only two that were related. John Jr. was was reported to be it was like her lover or something, is what it said on there. It's like thought to be her lover or something. But yeah, ultimately they just looked like any other family living on the prairie of Kansas, because at this time, prairie life. So they're living in the prairie of Kansas trying to just make a living. So you wouldn't really see anything. I mean, they were quite a friendly bunch, except for Ma. I mean, Ma was the one that really just wasn't the friendly one of the family. Katie was the most friendly, and then you had, a couple of other, Kate was the most friendly out of the whole group, but, the other three were pretty friendly as well, or the other two were pretty friendly as well, except for Ma. She was kind of just, I'm assuming just didn't like people or something, but, when you're a killer, it probably is going to be that way. But after they had fled, the search party searched in their house. Kate and Ma were never found. The only two that were found were the two men. And John Sr., he was found dead by Michigan. And John Jr. was found at the border of Mexico. It showed like signs of a stroke, and so like he could have died for any number of things. Whereas John Sr., it looked as though that someone had murdered him. So probably one of the girls murdered him before leaving. They may have fled to Mexico because John Jr. was found dead there, had a stroke. So, ultimately there's a lot to go on there. But with this and all of the stuff here, they will go down as one of the first serial killer families in America. And before I go, I did something different that I haven't done before. This is new for me. So based on their descriptions, they had cameras, yes, but they really didn't use them for that type of a stuff. They just kind of like drew pictures of the assailants and whatnot. So I decided to go based off the descriptions and draw it. Now, some of them may be a little off. I'm just going to say that now. Like, one of their eyes is a bit off, but I think I got pretty close. So the only reason I drew these was because of seeing the actual sketches of them. they left a few details out. Like, of course, John Sr., he's described as having a bushy beard. You know, Ma, she's more of a rounder woman. And, you know, John, he's got a kept mustache and everything. So, yeah. So I decided to draw. Here is John with the big bushy beard. Here is Ma. There's John Jr. And then Kate. So I figured I would give some assailant drawing a try. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did like it, please like down below. Like I said, I am doing this series for Kansas serial killers. It's going to be 8 videos. Once I am finished with this, drop down in the comments below what state you'd like me to do next. And I will go through and I will do 8 on those as well. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hit subscribe, hit like if you like this video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.